Good morning. Our next hand analysis hand is a King 10 offsuit on the button. Folds around, cutoff, raises. Alright, so cutoff's playing 15-10 right now. We've got 49 hands, probably a little bit more since I have some notes on here. But we've got a call button ISO 6 big blinds from big blind with ace queen off. He's out of position. He leads for 40%. Jack checks with the top pair hand. Probably bet the top pair. He got freaked because king came out. But we look at 3-bet range as 10s. Call 2 bets from blind range. We don't have a whole lot of hands in these numbers. I mean, maybe 50 hands total. Is playing 15% of them. I think he might be a little bit on the tighter range here. So 5s plus. Most of the Broadway except the offsuit like ace 10. Maybe I could add ace 10 here as a raise, but you know, it's just I don't think a whole lot of people would raise it. Tight players like this is a 10 NL game. I'll give him suited aces, and he probably doesn't even have all of them. Maybe something like that, but again, if he limps, then he'll have these, and we could kind of remove them from the raising range. But we're gonna go with something like that, 16%. All right, it's on me. This is not my range, but I wanted to show you that button versus cutoff. When the cutoff raises, we do have a 3-bet range, what seems like a wider 3-bet range. And prefer to 3-bet than call. And I think the reason is to try to isolate, try to get the blinds to fold, so that way we have ultimate position throughout the rest of the hand. We do have some calling range, but note the king 10 off is not. So I did fold, which I think is a correct fold, especially against a player that could be tight. However, if we wanted to be exploitative, we could have raised, kind of froze him up, and then go for the steal on the flop return. Big blind calls, no stats on him. Note the size is 2.5, so I just kind of went with the generic Broadway, suited aces, suited kings, connectors, one gappers, pocket pairs, that sort of thing. I do think most people 3-bet queens was ace king, so I think we're going to take those out of our range. And it's possible he would also raise with like jacks 10s, ace queen, maybe ace jack king queen suited and so forth, but we'll leave them in. So these two go to the flop of jack 8-5. I assume villain 6 would check. Ooh, but instead he just absolutely shoves. And that is odd. That is odd. What player does this? I can't imagine a player does this with trips or 2-pair. So we will eliminate those. Maybe top pair. Maybe top pair. But why would you bet all? Why would you bet that size? I'm gonna check this guy's name. Yeah, don't recognize the name. I don't really think it's gonna be an open ender. I really don't think that's the case. I think maybe top pair. Could be just an entire bluff here. I mean, it just doesn't make sense why you would shove all in on such a small bet. And again, set in 2-pair, which I don't really have 2-pair in his range. It's hard to hit 2-pair with like jack 8, 8-5, or jack 5. Why not just check call or check raise in this spot? I guess you could have maybe a 9-10 or a 6-7. But again, why risk all of that on a draw? So if anything, maybe it's going to be a top pair hand. and really just kind of like maybe ace jack. Maybe ace jack, betting top pair, top kicker. I guess it could be one of these open enders. More than likely 9-10 or 7-6. I guess we'll go like 50% chance that he does it. I can't imagine 10s or 9s or anything else like that. So 6%. And then, because then when you think about what kind of hands is this guy going to call it with? I mean, set. Set definitely, I think he would call. An overpair, I think he would call. And then for your top pair, I think maybe like ace jack you would call. I'm maybe throw in king jack. You're not getting the odds to draw to the straight. I mean, you need to have 48% equity. You're not getting that on a draw, on a straight draw. So really, you're just going down to your top pair plus 20%. You're getting 80% folds. I think there's better ways to play the hand, higher EV ways to play the hand. So the hand goes to showdown, so he does call. So we're just gonna kind of cap it at that. 8 and a 6. So I think the 8's pretty good hand. I can't imagine he would shove with an 8. 6 isn't the greatest if he had 9-7, but it is what it is. So he shows ace jack, and that's kind of what I was, when you work out the again, maybe he calls with king jack, but I think ace jack there. And then the other guy shows jack 2. Wow. The other guy shows jack 2. So again, I kind of put all the jack, but he did it with all of them, and his range is much wider than what we're looking at. If he calls jack 2, we're dealing with possibly all of the spades at this point, or all of the suited, and probably the offsuit aces, maybe the offsuit kings. Ooh. So he did it with all of his top pair. And again, I took out, but the open ender, you're looking at 11%. So I think this guy just was not, he didn't do it. That's not appropriate. Really cost himself a lot of money. I mean, he could have checked called. I think you check called flop, and then if he decides to lead on the 8, villain, when he calls, really says that he has a jack, and you're beat at that point. Of course, if you have the 8, that's awesome. You bet on the turn, you get called, and then you probably bet again on the river and get called against the ace jack. And I bet king jack calls, but you're not gonna, that turn bet when he calls knows that you're not gonna be able to bet large on that river. You're gonna have to bet half pot or smaller to encourage the call. So let's take a note on this guy. So he RFI 2.5 in cutoff with ace spades, jack of clubs. He is in position. He call all in, which was, I don't know, 500% plus X. Okay, so the flop was jack of hearts, 8 of diamonds, 5 of spades. Just do X and X. All right, so that was the hand. Kind of a little bit uneventful, but I mean, it's good to kind of look through some of these hands, try to figure out what they're doing. I'm going to find this hand, this guy in the next, maybe the next hand or so. Same day of play. See if I could add a note to let us know that he's donking top pair or bottom kicker on this, and then it was an absolute crazy bet. So other than that, I think we'll call it quits. Short video today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, look tomorrow for another.